Hey, what's going on YouTube? Today I'm here to show you my Stamina Nightblade, also known as Stamblade, beginner build for the Deadlands DLC patch. As a part of the beginner setup series, I'll be focusing on a starting rotation and gear that are easily accessible. For the sake of this theme and to be as new player friendly as possible, I'll be avoiding mythics, arena weapons, and trial or dungeon gear. Furthermore, the rotation for many classes will be simplified. This build is capable of pulling over 70k on the parse dummy and is viable for most starting content. The build specializes in normal group content such as trials, dungeons, and group arenas. This build works great in Overland, but is not specifically designed for it. So with that being said, here's the build. So starting off in the character sheet, I have 64 points in the stamina, and I'm running the Thief Mundus. For this particular build, I am a Dark Elf. Other alternatives include Khajiit, Orc, and maybe even Wood Elf would be fine. So for food, we're going to be running the RTM Takeaway Broth for most hard content. A cheaper and just as good alternative will be Dubious Cameron Throne, and if you need more sustain or you're parsing, Lava Foot Soup and Salt Rice is always the go-to. Moving on to potions, for this particular build we're going to be using Essence of Weapon Power. I believe Essence of Weapon Power have 3 really important buffs for stamina DPS. These include Major Brutality, Major Savagery, and Major Endurance. Furthermore, these potions do cost a little bit, so make sure you have 3 points in the medicinal use from the Alchemy skill line to ensure that the buffs last a full duration. So for CP, we're going to be running Backstabber, Thaumaturge, Deadly Aim, and Master at Arms. For the red tree, we're going to be running Bloody Renewal, Rejuvenation, Fortified, and Boundless Vitality. Moving on to gear, we're going to be running 2 daggers of New Moon Acolyte. Main hand is Nirnhoned with a flame damage enchant. Offhand is charged with a poison damage enchant. On the back bar, we have a New Moon Acolyte Greatsword infused with a weapon damage enchant. For the head and shoulders, we have 2 pieces of Night Mother, both in light. Max Stam traded in Divines. For body, we have 5 pieces of Hunting's Rage, all medium. Max Stam traded in Divines. And for jewelry, we're running 3 pieces of New Moon Acolyte, all with weapon damage traded in Bloodthirsty. So for skills, we're going to be running Relentless Focus, Surprise Attack, Deadly Cloak, Killer's Blade, Rending Slashes, Incapacitating Strike, Stampede, Carve, Twisting Path, Barb Trap, Dark Shade, and Incapacitating Strike. So for the rotation, we're just going to be running our back bar dots first, and then 2 front bar dots paired with 3 spammables, and then just replacing the spammable with your ult when ready. So the skill breakdown goes Carve, Stampede, Twisting Path, Barb Trap, Dark Shade, Bar Swap, Deadly Cloak, Rending Slashes, and 3 surprise attacks. Whenever you have an incapacitating strike, just replace your surprise attack with your ult. Furthermore, just proc Relentless Focus once, just for the stacks, and that should be it. So closing thoughts. First off, if you just want to run 7 medium, I definitely suggest 7 medium because sustain did seem like a bit of an issue. In other words, make sure your 2-piece Night Mother, you get it crafted in medium over light as shown in the video. So for the rotation, there's going to be 2 skills, Dark Shade and Barb Trap, that get refreshed really early. I tried swapping those skills out for different skills, but it didn't really seem like that big of a DPS change. So running that rotation is going to be better once you progress and you're more comfortable. Moving into a semi-dynamic or a fully dynamic rotation, meaning you cast skills whenever they need to be reapplied instead of following an XYZ format. We're not using Relentless Focus because that skill can be hard, especially if you're just new to the game, so I didn't use it altogether. I did proc it and get 5 stacks, so if you want to do the same, just make sure you activate it once and then just keep 5 stacks. Quick side note, if you want to run bow back bar, you can just swap out Stampede and Carve, the 2-hander skills on the back bar, and replace it with like Poison Injection and Endless Hail. So in terms of progression, I definitely work on replacing New Moon Acolyte as soon as possible. The best candidate for this for mid game, early game would be Briarheart. Briarheart is a good stam set and it's super easy to get considering it's Overland and it's from Hrothgar. For a basic beginner setup, this would be Huntings with Briarheart and a monster set. The monster set could be your choice, but my recommendation is Stormfist as a monster helm because it hits hard, Tempest Island on vet isn't too difficult, and overall it's just a good monster set. So next you have a choice of replacing your Huntings in Briarheart, which from here is moving towards mid to end game. Arms of Reliquin is the MVP of Stam sets and is really strong, but does require running Cloud Rest, which is a trial. If you run it on normal, it's very easy and you should work towards getting it if possible. Reliquin is a body set, meaning that we need to equip 5 pieces at all times, so we need to pair it with a front bar set because our back bar is going to be occupied with a arena weapon. Front bar sets, or just the best Stam sets in general to pair with Reliquin or run separately, can either be Kinra, Pillar of Nirn, Zogvin, or Advancing Yokeda. Through that list, I think Kinra is the best option, but this is dependent on if you can keep the stacks in the content you're doing. Kinra comes from the dungeon Black Drake Villa, Pillar of Nirn comes from Falkreath Hold, Advancing Yokeda comes from Hellraw Citadel, and Zovgin comes from Frost Vault. I'd also like to take this time to mention that Zovgin is unique and that it allows us to run a different skill instead of trap freeing up a bar slot. So once you get your gear sets figured out, next you want to decide if you want to go mythic or if you want to go monster sets. First we'll go over mythics. So for mythics you really only have 2 options, and they are kind of a pain to get, but they are some of the strongest items in the game. So first we have Death Dealer and Harpooners. Whichever one you do run, just make sure you pair that with 1 piece Slime Crawl because you are foregoing your monster set to equip the mythic. The reason we choose Slime Crawl is it has the best 1 piece for crit in the game, and getting it isn't too difficult either. So going back to the mythics, Harpooners is viable for most content and is considered best in slot. Whenever you can't run that, a good alternative will be Death Dealer's Fate. And for our arena weapons, I think Maelstrom is probably the best bet. Greatsword seems like it's performing the best, but Bow is also a strong candidate. And if you want to skip all that and just go monster helms, we have a few options, but Stormfist, Kjarnar, and Maul the Inferno are my personal picks. And I think that wraps it up. That wraps up the build explanation section of this portion. Thank you for watching my video, and if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. As a reminder, if this video helped in any way, please help the channel grow by subscribing, and if you like the piggies, like the video. Feel free to stick around for an attached outfit section and parse at the end. If not, have a good day and thank you again.
You